Welcome to FTB Weekends. It is the 12th of November at 11:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I, of course, am Jason C. McLean, and where do you go? There we go. And joined, of course, by Don McSweeney. Hey, Don.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. But you know what? I just thought before we had all these topics we're going to talk about, but it just occurred to me when I said it, Eastern Standard Time. Why did we go back to Standard Time? I like the savings time.
No, I like the standard time.
No, this is where it gets dark early. I don't like
It's
it.
gonna get dark early no matter what. But when I leave work, before we switched the time, I was getting to Lionel Grew before the sun was up. So let's not do that.
Let's not do that. Well, I mean, honestly, the thing is, like, people there, the U.S. supposedly the Senate passed this whole thing. They were gonna keep us on savings time, and then obviously Canada's gonna do what the States is, because you can't have Montreal and New York on the same time zone. But I hate the fact that it gets dark at 4 o'clock or 5:30.
That's gonna happen no matter what. For a minute, like, really, our days are gonna start getting longer again in a month.
Yeah, but I honestly, okay, so you're actually the one person that likes this time zone and doesn't like the other time zone.
Yeah, what time were your other people waking up in the morning? I've been going to work in the dark until we switched the times.
Oh, well, I'm somebody who, like, I mean, I don't know. I would only ever get anywhere at 9 o'clock. Anyways, let's talk about the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, but I leave my house at 7.
Okay, so you're like a farmer then.
Yeah.
It's designed for farmers and you and Don, apparently.
No, standard time. It was daylight savings time that we just came in and we're like, you know what we should do? Anyway, it's all weird. You know who doesn't understand that? Cats. They're like, hello, I don't know what time your clock says, but this is the time you've been feeding me at for the past 6 months. So every time we switch the clocks, I get an offended cat.
Okay. So we'll circle back to daylight savings time or daylight standard time, but the clocks didn't get set back to 1952 as everyone thought they would in the U.S. midterms.
Good one.
Yes, surprising election results. Surprising in the sense that everyone thought that yes, Republicans won, but it was the smart Republicans. It was the ones who actually believed that Biden won the last election, the ones that weren't so far out there right wing that at least sounded sane that won. Now, there were some right wingers among them, but most of the new Trump-backed Republicans lost, and not, except for J.D. Vance, I believe, but and Herschel Walker is going to a runoff, but he was losing in the last one. Chances are he will probably lose in this one too, because Georgia, well, that's what happened last time with 2 runoffs in Georgia, but it's just by their rule there has to be a runoff. But like, I mean, this is surprising. Trump was freaking out on Truth Social, and the Democrats, they might control the Senate, and it's not so sure about the House yet, but hopefully they will.
They're crazy over there, eh? Like, this is if you replace the word America and you explain that in the context of any place that we have ever perceived as some third world or uncivilized or whatever we have ever called it, and you just said that was happening on some small place that doesn't affect us much or world politics much, you'd be like, that just sounds crazy and nutty, eh? Like, this whole thing is wild. What's their ex-president doing creating social media so that he could try to rally his people? Like, the whole thing sounds crazy if you told us it was happening somewhere else. So, like, I'm at a point now where the whole thing is a surrealistic experiment in civilization. Like, they're not, it's weird. I read on somebody tweeted geniusly that if you're voting along party lines all the time, you have missed the point of democracy. It's not our team versus their team. It's supposed to be who's here with the best ideas, the most unifying voice, who's going to help us most as a people. And there's none of that. It's just red versus blue. It's Red Rover come over or whatever. I mean, they're tailgating for their country's demise. Oh, that's the quote of the day. Put that
tailgating for their country's demise, but at least they're reversing that trend a little bit, and Biden's looking pretty okay. He's not looking super. Everyone thought a lot of the Democrats would be wiped out, and that would basically Trump probably still is going to run next time. but everyone's
Yeah.
pushing for Ron DeSantis now because he won by like a wide margin. But he's like Trump like, but he's actually able to be socially acceptable in some ways because he's not a complete out there like lunatic. He's and Trump was lacing into him pretty
The
hardcore
goal
actually.
would
Like,
be to have Trump run as an independent so they can get rid of him from the zeitgeist. Because I don't believe that they're going to be able to elect an independent. And if the Republicans have any dignity, which is really questionable, and if they have any morals beyond their drive for their own success, which again, very questionable, they would actually distance themselves from him because he's just a cult of personality and not actually representative of what the party's ever stood for. And I don't like the Republicans. And I could still tell you this is not the moral compass for what the Republican Party ever was or should be.
no, it's the moral compass for
This,
like
this
the
is
Tea
it's
Party or whatever. So
lunacy. If again, like the same way that everybody had so many people had written books about a pandemic that had been rejected by publishers because it was unrealistic, and then COVID happened, and a lot of publishers had to apologize. The same thing. If somebody wrote about this whole Trump saga, Trump in politics, Trump as president, Trump post presidency, somebody would be like, this is unrealistic. People would stop him. People would come to their senses. And it's just not the case. So once we're in the abyss, once we're actually just living in this abstract expressionism of a reality, ooh, I don't know
yeah,
what's going on over there. It's wonky.
it's like someone's like reading this story, like, why is the president orange and angry? Like
Why
but
is the
yeah,
ex-president starting a social media? By the way, you know who's no good at social media? Elon Musk.
Elon
Take it
Musk, you did
away,
my segue.
Jason.
All right, yes. We were all worried last week. I was worried last week. I was like, oh, this Twitter blue check mark thing, this is going to completely destroy a platform I use hardly, except for maybe to plug shows like this and occasionally when I want to like live tweet things and I don't want to bombard my Facebook friends. Anyways, I was worried that like, okay, this is a bad idea. He's going to throw it down. But it turns out it was universally recognized that he did not do a very good job. Yes, he laid
Yeah,
off
it
the
was
people he
such a
was,
bad
yeah,
idea that it had to it
be
circled back
removed.
on
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, because and also at one point earlier this week he was banning satire. He fired
Well, here's
he
the thing.
removed
So he was basically like, okay, but if you're trying to so that blue check mark thing backfired in glorious fire as anticipated, with everybody then faking it, and there were about 1,800 Elon Musk accounts within the first 5 minutes. So um then it was like, okay, but your account has to say parody. So everybody said, okay, cool, and put parody in their bio. Places were faking companies and being like, we're giving away insulin for free now. And then it's like, okay, then he was like, well, that backfired too. So now you have to have parody in your handle, or I'm going to delete it if you're out there fronting like that. And it's like, no, you created this shit show. You strolled into a place that was working just fine for all everybody's complaints. We're still all there. And now you're like, it's losing $4 million a day, billion, whatever. I don't know, a million. The numbers are also surreal. And it's like, it wasn't about to go bankrupt before you got there. So then he fired a bunch of people, which we all know about. But then he ended up wanting to make some changes and then was in a rush to hire some of those people back because he realized he couldn't make the changes without their expertise because he's not so smart with the people, eh? He might have good
yeah.
ideas, but social was never his one of his strong suits.
Also, he was never technical. I mean, he likes to do all these technological projects, but he always has other people that actually do the tech part of it. Like,
Again,
yeah,
smart people surround themselves with smarter people. You need to surround yourself with people who you know are better at stuff than you. That's how smart people do things. That's how productive people do things. If you walk into a room and go, I could do all of this, you're the one who's about to burn it all down.
yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
I'm
the
on
one
Twitter a lot, by the way. Just so we all know. I mean,
yeah,
not that I
follow
have
at Mc, yeah, follow at
follow at
McMox.
McMoxie because I've been there 12 years or something, and I'm not very popular, but that's exactly it. So that's a good place for me to scream into the abyss without having to get into really personal, confrontational, long form discussions with my actual people I know on Facebook. So if you follow me on Twitter and find me controversial, you can then go ahead and unfollow me. But I'm not here to fight.
Yeah, yeah. I use it to promote the show. I also use it to promote articles on Forget the Box. I use it to promote. And also, sometimes I like to live tweet something like the Oscars or something like that. And I don't think all my Facebook followers want to see me live tweet the Oscars. So maybe or like random things like that don't
But
really
it's
jive
also
with my
great, once
public
again,
narrative.
it's how you use it, right? So I actually, if you suddenly find yourself following a lot of arts and culture and archaeology things, like I follow some science and archaeology things that I'm like, this is the fastest way to get it into your news feed. It is the fastest to follow CBC as opposed to trying to tune in or check the news on CBC. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, I get that too. I get news. I follow the news sites and stuff. I mean, I also like do the Forget the Box Twitter too. So with that one, I follow all the news sites. So with
Yeah.
and a lot of the art sites and stuff like that.
So
So
it does have a function.
it's
I
like,
don't know.
is this tweet they're suggesting for me or for Forget the Box or for that other dummy account I don't tell anyone about or for
FYI, I'm
that?
getting that on my phone too. Every time the notifications popping up, and I'm like, it's interesting. Yeah, when you're looking at just the news, this is a very useful site.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it'd be useful if but this is not going to segue. The police in Mascouche were a little bit better. You brought this story up. I haven't even heard of it. There's a Quebec mother, Marie Ismay, said her 18-year-old son Brandon is not a threat, and he was a nonverbal autistic, and he was actually tased by the police in Mascouche. What do you think of hearing about this, Don? Like you?
Well, I want to open with these are not white people. And I just want everybody to process and look back and go, hey, when was the last time a white autistic kid got tased? I'm sure it happens. I don't want to suggest that it's better or worse, but I'm just saying, once again, the systemic racism problem in Quebec is real, and to deny it doesn't help it. So her 18-year-old autistic son left left like a program he was in there to like a I don't think it's an overnight home. I think it's like a program for special kids. And their policy at that home is not to try to stop the kids but or adults, but rather to just call the cops, which, as we know, calling police on people who are in mental crisis or nonverbal or anything like that who might act nervously is almost a death threat on kids, like, or
Yeah,
adults again. And so once again, so they had to get the pins from the taser had to be surgically removed, and now he's more sketched out about police, right? So we've just cycled back and created a problem where now he's going to act more erratically in the face of police. He's a tall, black, nonverbal 18-year-old, right? So the police are going to automatically be like, oh, let's shoot him. And that's how much faith I have in police.
yeah.
So
Well, the whole idea that was
we
the
have
whole.
to
I mean,
acknowledge systemic racism, first of all, and we
yeah.
have to really think about the training that's necessary and the changes necessary. That it's all fine and dandy to say ACAB, but the fact of the matter is we need to actually have a plan in place for when it's a matter of, like, the home called. The home knows he's not out there
Yeah.
being a threat.
Well, that's the whole idea behind defund the police. It's not take away all their money. It's take certain jobs away from them and give it to other people
Restructure.
that are better equipped to deal with situations like that.
Yes.
Not and I mean the best way to sell that to like right wingers is to be like I found is to be like why should a guy with a gun have to give you like a traffic ticket?
Yeah, and
Like even that like
there was no
why should the
reason.
guy with a gun have to deal with this situation?
A hundred
Get
percent.
health workers, people who know
A
who
hundred
know what they're
percent.
doing, and
It should have
keep the
been
police for like murders and like like I don't know, chasing down like robbery
also,
stuff.
though, if your program, I not that I know anything about the program or the general rules and standards for it, but if you have a program that you're running for people who do have special needs and your policy is just to let them walk out the door and call the police, like, what are your standards? Like,
Yeah,
that
like
doesn't sound helpful at all.
aren't you the people that should be called in this kind of case instead of the
Yeah,
police to deal
a
with it?
hundred percent.
Like
A hundred
that's
percent. So there seems like there were a lot of failures in place, and this mother, I tweeted her article, but it's easily found on Canadian media everywhere apparently. But that it's just that there needs to be some changes in the training for the police for such incidents.
okay. Well, on that note, yeah, let's I guess I'm trying to end on something more positive. Let's go back. Yeah, so let's end it back with Twitter. You can follow the unverified at McMoxie Don McSweeney on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me unverified I didn't pay for Twitter, at Jason C. McLean on Twitter and Instagram. If you're watching this, you can also follow at Forget the Box on Twitter and Instagram. You can, if you're watching this on Facebook, please subscribe to our page at Forget the Box.
I'm unverified there too.
Well, we can. I'm tempted to get us verified on Facebook. I think there's a way we can do that. Actually, there's Forget the Box. We should.
But
yeah,
I mean, me personally, but nobody's faking to be me. Although I'm not the only one with my name.
No, but I'm talking about Forget the Box.
Like, I know that sounds legit. You should do that.
Like we're recognized as a legitimate news and media site by Facebook. I had to go through some procedure to get them to do that. But yeah, why not get the check mark on Facebook? That's
just don't turn yourself into an avatar. We'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, and if you're watching this on YouTube, smash that like button. Click subscribe, ring the bell for all notifications. And of course, for great show updates, Don's going to be doing some shows later this week. We're bringing back shows this week on Thursday. For get our Android app and for daily content, check out forgetthebox.net. We'll catch you next week for another FTB weekend.